Constantin Valdor, one of, if not the most legendary figure who has ever lived, who apparently still is living and may come back at any time and do some shenanigans with the Imperium or maybe against the Imperium. Now, before we jump into the inner parts and inner workings of this theory, of this rambling about this great character, I just want to say that this video will contain spoilers, mostly from the Eisenhorn Ravner Beckwin series. So if you haven't read any of them, you're currently reading them, then please leave this video now. I don't want to be the one that spoils that amazing book series for you. For those who want to jump in and go into it, let's get waffling. Now, before we jump into the future aspects of Valdor, we need to go back in the past and talk about him, what he's done, who he's served, what weapons he's used, which is a vital part to his character, because this could be the road which leads him to his return now to Warhammer 40,000. So Valdor himself was the first custody ever made by the Emperor. The Emperor actually marched armies across Terra itself during the days of the Unification Wars. He nearly lost his place in the Unification Wars. He nearly lost armies, all to retrieve Valdor. For all intent purposes, Valdor is like a Primarch. He is the first custody ever made, and all the other custodies are based off Valdor's mold. This is in the book Constantin Valdor, which is a fantastic read. You need to go and read it if you haven't read it. It tells about the later stages of the Unification Wars and about the Thunder Warriors and the Emperor's plans to move off Terra and take the war to the galaxy itself. Really amazing book. I won't spoil anything about that book. But Constantine is a very, very important character. He was kind of like the triumphant of Terra, of the Imperium itself. The Emperor being the head, the Sigillite being the secret voice and all the other shenanigans, and Constantine being the warrior, the knight that he sent out there to get the job done. So he was very, very important, not only to the Imperium, but to the Emperor himself. The Emperor actually gave him one of his weapons he made called the Apollyon Spear. Sorry, I'm tripping over my own words. And this spear gave the user, or the person who was wielding it, truth. So if he killed someone, if he killed a space marine, or he killed a demon, or he just killed, a normal human, he saw a vision of that person's life. He knew all their secrets. This is why he knew demons' real names, and he can easily control demons, destroy demons and stuff. There's a really, really cool scene in one of the latest Siege of Terror Horus Heresy books, where he teleports onto the Vengeful Spirit, and he doesn't know he's on the Vengeful Spirit. He thinks it's warp shenanigans, but he stabs the spear into the deck of the Vengeful Spirit, and it tells him that, yes, this is the Vengeful Spirit. And then he goes on and he, seeks out Horus and the Emperor and everyone else on the Vengeful Spirit. It's a really, really awesome weapon, which I think is going to define his character, because the truths that it's given him now, I think it's put him on a different path. We'll get to that path later on in the video. Now, Constantine's fate is a mysterious one. I personally thought that he would actually die at the Siege of Terror a long, long time ago, but no, I was completely wrong. Constantine is alive. He vanished into the shadows. He left all his armor, all his weapons there. This was coming from information of the 8th edition Custody Codex, if I'm not mistaken. The Apollyon Spear can be taken as a relic for the custodies on the tabletop. I'm not sure you can still do it in 9th edition. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But the main thing I'm going to get to is that he disappeared. The fun fact is that he actually disappeared the same time as Leman Russ as well. Leman Russ was also given a spear by the Emperor, the twin of the Apollyon Spear. So there is some type of linkage, maybe, which could link to Leman Russ disappearing and Valdor disappearing as well. Now, this is the part of the video where you really have to hold on to your butts, because we are going down this hole. We're going so down, I think I need to put my my foil on for this part of the video. So the Ravner Eisenhorn Beckwin series is a fantastic read. There's so many emotional things in there. The story is fantastic, but they're always chasing this elusive figure called the Yellow King. Now, in the latest Beckwin books, we get to really jump into this, where we discover there's kind of like a I want to call it a shadow realm. It's a distorted, it's like a pocket dimension. That's the kind of best way I can try to explain it to you. And in this pocket dimension, there's a figure called the Yellow King, and he's making an army of blanks, like a full-on army. Like, blanks, for people who don't know, they're basically humans who have no souls. They are kind of like the anathema to the runer's powers. They can't be affected by him. They stop all their powers. They're literally anti-chaos things. But also in this type of pocket dimension, shadow realm kind of thing, there's custodies there. There's a space marine that literally has wings like Sanguinius, who is a blood angel and stuff. There's like there's like ships flying over. There's an actual army being built in shadow, and it's all due to this figure called the Yellow King. Now, Beckwin, right at the end of that book, actually discovers the translation to the Yellow King, or discovers the Yellow King's name, and it is Constantin Valdor. And it leaves us all as an audience on an absolute cliff ender. Like, oh my god, wait, Valdor is the Yellow King, this elusive figure throughout all these books we've been chasing all this time, is the Yellow King. He's the so-called bad guy in this, or of course is he a good guy building this army for a certain purpose? Now, also, it mentions in that book the army that's being built in secret is probably that powerful, that problematic, that entire craft worlds of Eldar are trying to hinder this, to stop this. Chaos itself is sending Space Marines to stop it, to hinder it. So there's really a lot of stuff now in the galaxy that see this as a potential threat. I'm not really sure why the Eldar see it as a threat. Maybe they've seen like shenanigans in their mind and stuff like that, you know, farces and stuff. Chaos, of course, wants to stop it because this army is literally anti-chaos. It could do a lot of damage, and being led by Valdor as well, one of the greatest heroes the Imperium's ever had, who knows a lot of truths about chaos because he's killed so many demons. He knows demons' real names and stuff like that. He probably knows the Primarch's real names. He can stop them all in his tracks. He's a person that wields and has so much power. Now, before we jump into his return and what that could mean, I just want to say this whole story in, you know, Beckwin discovering Valdor, the Yellow King and stuff like that, this takes place around, is it 300 to 500 years before Guilliman's return? So we are talking way before Guilliman comes back here now, you know, at least half a thousand years before Guilliman returns. So potentially we could already have the end to this saga, but we're just waiting on the next book called Pandemonium by Dan Abnett. Dan, please, I'm begging you. We're making videos like this, Dan. Just release it. Give us what you've got, Dan. So potentially we could have an end to the story, but I don't think we're going to have that. I think this is really opening the door now for a character like Valdor to potentially return to the tabletop, and then that opens the door for other characters, aka Primarchs like Leman Russ returning, because like I said, I think those two characters are massively connected, not only through the spears that they wielded because they were brother and sister, or brother and brother, or sister and sister spears, but also those two characters actually had a lot of respect for each other. So I really do think that if one returns, the other one would shortly follow. Now, for me, the way I would love this to happen, let's just say we're in 10th edition, the Tyranids are ripping things apart, Chaos, Abaddon, Vastor, they've got their own warp shenanigans going on. The Imperium is battling on two fronts. Chaos is encroaching, the Nids are encroaching. What better time to unleash a brand new faction in there, which is kind of affiliated with the Imperium. Maybe they have some shenanigans with the Imperium, but mostly they're in for the purpose of just destroying Chaos as itself and not following the rules. Valdor would be absolutely sickened by what the Imperium has become, or what it is at this moment in time. Just like, you know, Guilliman looks at it, just how Lionel Johnson looks at it, but they can't do anything at this moment in time because they're connected with the Imperium. Valdor doesn't have that problem. He could come back at the head of his own faction and say, no, I'm still doing what the Emperor dreamed, what the Emperor wanted, and defeating the ultimate enemy. He comes with this army of blanks and he starts attacking Chaos. He has Custodes in tow, he has Space Marines in tow, but he doesn't have to follow the rules of the Imperium. Who the hell is going to stand up to Constantin Valdor? Who's going to tell him no? This epic hero of the golden age of humanity, who stood, who fought, who was raised by the Emperor himself. Who is going to tell this individual he cannot do this? He could say, listen, this is the task the Emperor gave me. I know the Emperor more than any of you. To be fair, he's de facto kind of like the Emperor's son in my eyes. And with this army of blanks now, they could be like a brand new model range if you want to go that way. Or maybe it's just lore for now. They can start combatively fighting chaos and start turning the tides of the war, of the conflict against chaos, and start pushing them back into the Eye of Terror itself, because they have the ultimate armor to do that. And again, like it's not just blanks, it's Space Marines, it's Guard, it's Custodes. He has his own little Imperium force there. What's his ultimate goal? What is it? Is it just to destroy chaos? Maybe he sees the Emperor on the Golden Throne, he sees him in pain, maybe he wants to kill the Emperor, destroy the Emperor, right? There's so many other theories that you can spring off from this. What is the Yellow King's ultimate goal? The big twist in this could be, what if the Yellow King, it actually isn't Constantin Valdor? What if it's actually someone else? I've theorized before, and I was given a lot of flack to this, that maybe that is just a ruse to confuse people, and it's not Constantin Valdor. What if it's Rogel Dawn? Remember, Rogel Dawn is given a final speech for the Emperor before he's put onto the Golden Throne. The old law states that the Emperor tells Dawn something, and we don't know what that is. Maybe it's this plan, you know, go into this thing, create an army of blanks, win the ultimate war against chaos. Who the hell bloody knows? Right, that is enough waffling for me. I feel like I've been talking for far too long about Valdor. I love talking about it. I really, really do, because there's so much potential there. I can't wait for the next book, Pandemonium. There's so much amazing stuff. It really, really is. It's one of the greatest stories, one of the greatest tales, one of the greatest things that's ever happened to Warhammer 40,000. Go and read Eisenhorn, Ravnar, Beckwin, Magos. There's so many books attached to it. It is bloody brilliant. Also, everyone should go and pick up Chris Rate's Constantin Valdor book. That is another fantastic piece which really shows the character of Valdor in all his beastly and immensely just, oh my god, it is magnifique, as I like to call it. Right, enough waffling. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. If you've got any thoughts, feedback, anything like that, post it down below, and we'll have a nice little chin wag down there as we always do. See ya, have a great day, and bye-bye.